Good morning, Bacon Academy. On today's show, a Connecticut state representative is under arrest. Israel and Palestine are at it again, and we've finally reached the edge of the solar system. All that and more now on the Bacon Academy Student News. Today is Wednesday, December 5th, 2012. I'm Bernie Dennler.
And I'm Matt McAllister. Today is the third day of the PAL sock drive, which will last all week. PAL is seeking new socks which will be given to people of all ages through Colchester Social Services. Socks should be dropped off in the main office.
Connecticut State Representative Christina Ayala was arrested on charges of domestic violence on Monday night after police say she slapped her boyfriend during a heated argument. Ayala is a Democrat representing the 128th District. However, police are beginning to question her whether or not she represents the proper district. The incident that led to Ayala's arrest took place at 49 Hillside Avenue at approximately 11:45 p.m., which is actually in the 129th District. Ayala is already awaiting trial in a hit-and-run case.
In U.S. news, with the fiscal cliff deadline approaching, President Obama has reiterated that he will not back a deal which does not include tax increases for the wealthiest Americans. House and Senate Republicans strongly oppose any legislation that would raise taxes on Americans regardless of income, but some influential Republican congressmen have begun to at least consider the possibility of increasing taxes on some Americans. However, Speaker of the House John Boehner has signaled that he will absolutely not support such a plan. This leaves Washington deadlocked once again with the fiscal cliff rapidly approaching.
The cliff was devised as a sort of self-imposed catastrophic nightmare scenario that would automatically go into effect if Congress failed to compromise regarding the debt ceiling before the end of 2012. The fiscal cliff contains over $1 trillion in cuts to programs supported by both Republicans and Democrats, and tax increases on all Americans. Essentially, the cliff, which would be devastating for both parties, was designed to force Congress to compromise, as no one in Washington actually wants to see these cuts made. However, with the deadline looming and a deal out of sight, it now seems possible that a deal will not be reached and that the fiscal cliff, which is, by design, a worst-case scenario for the country, will actually go into effect.
New York City police have identified a suspect believed to be responsible for pushing another man in front of an oncoming subway train at around 12:30 p.m. on Monday. Police have not released the suspect's name, but began questioning him Tuesday afternoon about the death of Ki-Suk Han, 58, of Queens, New York. Han was tossed onto the subway track at 49th Street and 7th Avenue after confronting a man mumbling to himself who was alarming other passengers on the platform. According to authorities, questioning of the suspect will definitely continue.
4 men were shot early Wednesday inside Logan Square nightclub when a fight broke out, authorities said. Chicago police stated that a group had reserved part of the Ultra Lounge on North Milwaukee Avenue for a hip-hop show. Around 12:30 a.m., a fight occurred during the performance. 1 man was shot in the arm, 1 in the thigh, and another in the leg. Police managed to find 2 guns inside the nightclub, as well as some in a van that the assailants used to flee the scene. So far, no arrests have been made.
The flu season arrived last week, the earliest season since 2003-2004, when a severe epidemic killed over 150 children and caused a flu vaccine shortage. Early seasons typically indicate a bad flu season, so it is crucial for anyone over the age of 6 months to get vaccinated. With a large supply of influenza vaccine, there is enough for each person over this age to get protected from the potentially dangerous sickness.
Turning to world news, Middle East peace talks have once again been complicated, with Israel vowing to build 3,000 new settlements on the West Bank after the United Nations granted Palestine non-member observer status to the UN. The recognition of Palestine is seen as a major step toward Palestine as an official state, but these settlements on Palestinian territory, which will bisect the Palestinian-controlled West Bank, will make it impossible for Palestine to create a contiguous state. The development comes just weeks after a brief war between Israel and Gaza.
International concern has grown regarding Syria's chemical weapons. U.S. officials believe the Syrian government is preparing to use sarin gas in the country's civil war. It is not clear if Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has decided to deploy the deadly gas against rebels trying to end his 12-year rule. But U.S. President Barack Obama has warned that Assad would be held accountable if he did so.
The Western Military Alliance's decision to send German, U.S., and Dutch Patriot missiles to help defend Turkey's borders would bring the U.S. and European troops to Syria's border for the first time in this civil war. Rebels had reported that they were surrounding an airbase near Damascus. Abdul Nidal, a spokesman for the rebel Aib al-Mufasta Brigade, supposedly made a statement claiming, "We hope within the coming hours we can take it."
On Wednesday, disaster authorities in the Philippines were struggling to deal with the devastation brought by Typhoon Bopha that left hundreds of people dead or missing and drove thousands from their homes. Seas of mud, upended trees, toppled electrical poles, and flattened buildings were just some of the damage that Typhoon Bopha caused. The government provided trucks and boats with food, blankets, medicines, and cadaver bags to stricken areas. The death toll currently is at 95, but the government fears that the number will rise as rescue teams continue to search.
And finally, in science news, NASA's Voyager 1, the most distant man-made object from Earth ever, has entered a new region of space, being called the Magnetic Highway, as it becomes the first human object to approach interstellar space. The so-called highway of charged particles is a region of space at the farthest edge of our solar system, where magnetic field lines from the Sun connect to interstellar magnetic field lines. Voyager 1, which was launched in 1977, may officially leave the solar system and the Sun's influence in anywhere from a few months to a few years.
NASA officials announced that they have plans to build a new Mars rover that would follow the Curiosity on the surface of the red planet. The objectives are not yet set, nor are the tools that the rover would yield. But nonetheless, scientists are hopeful that they will have a new model in space by 2018. The new rover, estimated to cost about $1.5 billion, promises to provide a shot in the arm for the local economy, according to officials.
That's all for today. Join us again tomorrow for more school, local, U.S., and world news.
And remember, you can catch us online too at youtube.com/BA Student News.